Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bruce Konechny. Welcome to my podcast. Today is December 30th, 2018. We have one day left for the year, and this will be my yearly recap, I guess you could say, of 2018 review. Now, some of the things that we have to look at of our comedians. Ladies and gentlemen, especially you Democrats, I ask, please, go in and look at the comedy skits of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, to the comedy skits of Brett Buttons, Red Skelton, Don DeLuise. You'll find these are true comedians. And they make you laugh without using sexual innuendo, sexual comments, talking about the private parts, talking about what they want women to do to you. They don't do any of that. It's clean, funny routines. Not like today. They're foul-mouthed, rude, and ignorant people. Now, Don Rickles was a rude individual, but that was his comedy routine. And you had to walk in knowing you might get slammed, but it's slammed nicely. The liberal left in Hollywood, the comedians in Hollywood, use profanity, sexual content to drive home a point. They're not really funny. And when they can't do that, they run around out there and they slander President Trump. These are not funny comedians. Their job is to make us laugh. That's like the king and the jesters. The jester comes out, doesn't make the king laugh, and then points the finger at the king and says, your fault. So the king says what he should say, behead him and kick him out. The jesters of our society today are dim-witted, foul-mouthed, pathetic human beings. And then you have singers like Madonna and Miley Cyrus. I mean, think about it. They use sex to drive home their points. That shows how little they think of the American people. All you are considering is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You have no intelligence to understand positive humor. Ladies and gentlemen, and in a way they're true, because back when I was in high school and getting out and going into the military, the average reading level at that time, 1970-71, was 9.2. Ninth grade, second month, reading level. Today it's 5.3 or 5.2. They have dumbed down our society. Who did? The Democrats. And how did the Democrats do that? Please understand. They have the National Organization of Women that support them. They have the Gay and Lesbian Organization that support them. They have the American Teachers Association that supports them. They have the news media that supports them. And they have the Atheist Organization that supports them. All of those together working to destroy the moral integrity of this country. Dumbing down our kids to where now you get people like Cortez, who has no clue of what a social democracy under a capitalist system is all about. All she wants, since she grew up in that, she wants to have socialism. She wants the government to pay for everything. But the question is, where does the government get the money from? The only way they can pay for everything is if they take control of businesses, which means you're not going to have stock in businesses. The government's going to own the business and the government will take the profits. And if that's not enough, they have to raise the individual income tax to pay for everything that they want to give away. So they're really not giving anything for free. And what about those who don't want an education? How about those who are happy getting out of high school, going into a job, working that job, like plumbers and electricians and carpenters, who don't require a college education but require an education in their trade? They're not paying for that. But those people will pay higher taxes in order for people who don't desire college to go to college and let the government pay for it. We've seen that a lot of people have dropped out of college. There's over $1 trillion owed to the education fund by people who went to college and failed to pay it back. Part of the reason Cortez doesn't understand this, though, is because for 8 years under the Obama Socialist Network, he did not create any jobs in this country, or did businesses create any jobs in this country in order to facilitate people who have a higher education. What they did was created low-income jobs. And when you owe $100,000 plus to college education, and you only can get a minimum wage job, you can't pay back the money. And yes, he had steady growth during his time period, but it was low income. And because of the regulations that he put up as executive orders against businesses, especially small businesses, people went from working 40 hours of work for a work week to 30, so businesses wouldn't have to supply the medical insurance for their employees. And what happened when they sat there and said, let's go to $15 an hour? Well, those who did go to $15 an hour out in Oregon and Washington, they found that they were making less money at $15 an hour than they were at minimum wage. Why? Because they couldn't pay that much, so they had to cut back on hours. So they actually lost like $120 in their paycheck every month, or every week, I should say. You see, the socialists want to give, but who's paying for it? You are. Now we take a look at the riots in the streets. We take a look at the hatred in the news. And all the hatred is towards Donald Trump, even though our economy is better than it's been since the 1960s. Our unemployment rate is better than it's been since the 1960s. Yet Cortez comes out and says our unemployment rate is down because people have 2 jobs. This is a girl who was educated, and I call her a girl. She's not a woman. She was educated in our system, and she has no clue what unemployment is all about. She wants to party. Let her party. That's what socialists want to do. They want to party. She's making, what is it, 107,000, I believe is what senators and congressmen get. And she wants to be on a committee, which if you're on a committee, you make even more than that. See, to show you how stupid she is, she goes out to Congress for the welcoming party, and she realizes the high cost of apartments out there. But does she bother to realize that there are congressmen that have sat there and said that because of the cost of housing out here, and I have to maintain a house at home, that I'm sleeping in my office and I'm showering in the gym. I have a gym for all the congressmen. What makes her any special? What does she want? Does she want the American people to pay for an apartment for her? Once she starts working as a congressperson, she can go out and get her own. Would you? Do you think that's fair? I don't. President Trump is calling for a wall. Ladies and gentlemen, the simplest form of protecting your property is by putting up a wall. That, if it's built and constructed properly, will eliminate 90%. You put up a fence, they can always climb the fence and hop over the fence. Walls are a little bit more difficult. So the simplest is that. The Democrats are crying, we want border security, but the wall doesn't work. Really? Then why did Israel build a wall? To block out people from coming into their country. Why did the Chinese build a wall? Because it works. It's the simplest form. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both approved of a wall during the Obama administration, but now they don't want to give it to Trump. Now, Trump has said, I accept responsibility for the shutdown. I'm going to shut down the government. And he accepted responsibility when the government shut down. But whose responsibility is it now to get it open? It's Nancy Pelosi and crybaby Chuck Schumer to sit down and work out a deal with the president to provide basic security for the wall to stop people from coming in. But Nancy, instead of doing that, where is she? She is over in Hawaii in a $10,000 a day hotel room while people are worried about when they're going to get their next paycheck. I want you to think about that. She's a one percenter. And you Democrats who fought, who protested against one percenters, she's a one percenter. And she doesn't care about you. Look at crumbs when you received $1,000 in your paychecks as bonuses. And that doesn't include pay raises as well. It doesn't include the people who went back to work and lowered our expense for food stamps because now they're working. See, she doesn't care about that. It's crumbs. Of course it's crumbs. When you can hand out $10,000 a day for a hotel room to spend a vacation in, $1,000 for a family of four to her is crumbs. And yet you're going to put her in the speakership. She is not sitting there doing anything to support President Trump or to work on this problem until after she's elected as Speaker of the House. Okay? She's not going to do anything. And then as Speaker of the House, let's see what she does. Now, it's sad that the news media barrage of attacks against Donald Trump when all of the good things are going on. Do you realize that his approval rate, if they reported the news like they're supposed to, his approval rate would probably be in the 80%, 90%. But they don't want him to succeed. If you go in and look at these news commentators, find out where they're educated and what they're educated in. Most of them are lawyers. That's right, they're lawyers. Just like the lawyers in Congress. Very few in Congress that are not lawyers. The rest of them are all lawyers. All they want to do is get paid, pass bills to suck money out of your pocket, and sit there and say, we care about the American people. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both said we need to raise taxes. Why? Why? Because they need more money. Why? Why do they need more money? And these are what they call non-essential personnel, or the ones that are not getting their paychecks. If they're non-essential, why are they there? Other than just fat backing it off the federal government, which the Democrats want, and the majority of them are Democrats. Do they go out to the people and sit there and say, don't worry about it, you're going to get your jobs back, you're going to get your money back? No, because they already know it. Once they sign whatever it is that they have to sign, people start going back to work and the government opens up. They're going to get a fat paycheck for all of the time that they were out. It's not like they're losing money, people. It's just deferred until the Congress opens up again and the government opens up again. Do you understand that? It's a farce. It really is. That's why people aren't worried about the shutdown. Yeah, all right. The mortgage company says you owe, if you've been paying on time, they'll let it slide. And if you've got to go a month without making a payment, and they know you work for the government, you call them up and say, can you get rid of that fee for being late? They'll get rid of the fee. That's all corporations, all companies do that. When you sit there and are honest, good, hardworking people, and you're paying your bills like you're supposed to, and if you're a member of the government and this happens to you, they understand and they will work with you. So do you really think that people are going to be hurting? I don't think so. Ignorant people will be because they won't know to ask for the credits if their bills are late. And the people can't say, well, it's not our fault. But if you're late on your bill payments and you've missed a couple of bill payments and you call up and say, hey, because the government shut down, I'm not receiving a paycheck. Can you help me out here? They're not going to do it. You're a risk. Nancy Pelosi doesn't care about that. She cares about spending $10,000 a day in Hawaii rather than the American people. She's calling for open borders. She doesn't care about the American people who are trying to get an education and trying to get a job out there. If illegals come across this border and take over jobs that our students are supposed to be taking over, and understand that that's what minimum wage jobs are all about. It's not about trying to raise a family. It's about trying to learn how to get into the business world. And when people come across this country, and there are going to be a lot of people that come into this country that are lazy, don't want to work, because they know that the loopholes in our system will allow them to collect welfare, food stamps, and they're going to be given government housing at low cost. So they don't have to do anything. Do you think they're going to vote for the Democrats? Absolutely, because look at this. You're giving me a free ride while the American people suffer. Is that right? I want you to think about that, Democrats. Is that right? Now, in review, I've said in the past that if you look at 1865, it was 3 Democrat Confederate soldiers that started the KKK. In 1938, the Republicans tried to pass a civil rights bill, giving more rights to the black Americans in this country, and it was shot down by the Democrats. And the Democrats have been pushing since 1865 to suppress the growth of black people in this country. Abortion was pushed in order to get rid of black babies in this country. Why? They didn't want them to grow. They wanted the black population to be a small population of slaves in this country. 1963, after the Democrats realized that they were failing at controlling the black population in this country, they conceded and tried to pass the Civil Rights Act and couldn't, because there weren't enough Democrats that would vote for it. So they had to go across the aisle to the Republicans, who were more than willing to vote for it. And that's how the Civil Rights Act got passed. Yet the KKK continues to live through the Democratic Party. They're trying to make, and they have made a lot of black people in this country slaves with welfare, food stamps, and low-income housing. With babysitting centers and inner city schools that don't give an education to the black children of this society. And they wind up with drugs and gangs because they have nothing better to lean back on. That's all because of the Democratic Party. And look at the places where the Democrats have control. California, a sanctuary state for illegals to come into this country. And if they're criminals, they're allowed to live there instead of being deported. Chicago, where a Democratic mayor who destroyed schools in the inner city, closed them down because they didn't have enough money to take care of them. Yet they were getting their paychecks. I think we need to make some new laws, but Congress won't do that because Congress would fall under those laws. And those laws are this. You either do the job and do it right and allow your people to grow and be strong, or you don't get paid. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats in Congress would lose their paychecks. Now I'm going to close with this. Please understand that President Trump, his daughter, and his son-in-law do not receive a paycheck from the federal government. They are there trying to make America great as it once was. Were we a great nation? Absolutely. We were a great nation that was a social democracy based on capitalism. We rose up from the ashes of a revolutionary war in 1776 to 2018 to become the greatest nation in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I said it before, I'll say it again. China, Japan, England, France, Germany, Russia, Spain, all around before we even were a speck in their eyes. And yet we became the greatest nation in the world because we had a moral and an ethical code that we lived by. Liberal Democrats don't want to live by that moral and ethical code. They don't think they have to. They want to do whatever it is they want to do. And they've sucked uneducated, low-educated Democrats into their web of hatred for the American way of life and hatred for the Republican Party. You've fallen for it. You've become stupid, ignorant people because that's what the Democrats want you to be. Cortez is a prime example. When she doesn't realize what she's saying, but thinks it's all right. And then she turns around and says, don't attack me because I'm stupid, basically is what it's saying. She's been asked to, she's not going to even go up against Republican conservatives on some of the things that she said because she knows she will be made to look like a fool when it comes to those conversations. We had a great year in 2018. The Democrats tried to destroy it. The news media tried to destroy it. And they failed. Now that the Democrats are taking control of the House, are they going to worry about the American people? No. They're going to worry about those individuals at the border. Now here's the thing. They care about border security, yet they don't want to fund border security because of the wall. And there are reports that there are a lack of beds. There's a lack of treatment facilities for those individuals that come into the country. And some children die because of that, yet the Democratic Congress does not want to vote for a bill to help provide for that and provide for the wall. Do they really care about the illegals coming into this country? And the answer to that is no. They're using them as political pawns to try to destroy President Trump. Now, predictions for next year, they are going after him hard and heavy. They're going to try everything and do everything they can to get him impeached. They just wasted 2 years where they could have provided a better life for everybody in America, built the wall, and provided entrance capabilities for individuals who truly wanted to be here. Some of those aliens did not want to be here, so they went to the American Embassy in Mexico and said, give us $50,000 each and we'll go back to our home countries. Is that political asylum? No. They're ripping off the American people. You know it, but yet you continue to vote for the Democratic Party. Ladies and gentlemen, we need changes. We need laws to protect us from our own Congress. I remember in The Patriot, the one line that was there that said, why should we care about a tyrant 3,000 miles away when we have 3,000 tyrants right here? Something to that effect. In other words, if we create a government, are they going to become tyrants to dictate over us? And that's exactly what the Democrats are doing. And you've fallen for it thinking that they care about you. They really don't. And all of you fools out there, and you are fools, if you're sitting there cheering on a sports figure and buying his shirts and buying whatever memorabilia you have to support that guy, and you're going out there, yeah, and walking the street, he'll walk right past you because he doesn't know who you are. He could care less who you are. Hey, I rooted for you. Okay, fine. Who cares? That's what Congress is like. You put people in the office to do the job, and then they ignore you. So when 2018 leaves and 2019 comes, my wish and my prayer for each and every one of you is that our government opens their eyes to the truth about what the Democrats are doing to this country. They have been doing since 1963. Actually, if you want to go back, they've been doing it since 1865. Let them open their eyes, you Democrats, to the truth about the Democratic Party. Let them show you their hatred, their disgust for the American way of life. Let them openly avow what you already know but are afraid to respond. So when 2020 comes around, you finally say, enough is enough. The last part of that is the UN agenda for 2030 to have a one world government under socialism. That's what they want. And the Democrats in this country are working to get that one world government up and running. And they have the billionaires like George Soros and the ones out in California that are fighting for that, while they look you in the face and tell you, we care about America. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year's Day, and I will talk to you next year. Take care.